Join us, it's the Empower Talk, our show. Empower Talk, the Empower Show.
Hey, welcome to the Empower Talk podcast. My name is Edmund. Again, I'm blessed to be able to share this with you. Listen, do you have issues with passion? I talk to a lot of people who just say, well, where did this passion thing come from? It's very interesting because for everyone, individuals, it's a very different issue. Sometimes we have to really get a hold of what we mean by definitions, how we describe things. But passion is something that we all need to have because we know that for people who are passionate about something, it tends to come through in a different way. We drive ourselves very differently. But having said all that, we still have an issue with passion. And sometimes it becomes a little bit disconcerting to know how to always access that. Sometimes it's difficult to know, then where does it come from? Everything that comes from self is a problem or is a challenge. We have challenges with self-motivation, we have problems with self-esteem, or we have challenges with just our self-interests. And anything that deals with self always is going to be a challenge because we have to learn how to manage ourselves before we can manage the things that we need to do for ourselves. We need to manage ourselves before we can manage the things that we need to do for ourselves. And so it's a mystery, and it really kind of comes across as something difficult to do. But understanding self is so vital, I think, that when you understand how you were raised and your ideals for life, your perspectives and your ideologies, your intellectualism, what drives you, what motivates you. When we understand ourselves, I think that it becomes easier then to figure out where does our passion lie and what does it do for us. But passion is elusive. If we go by how we feel, we know then that's going to be a challenge within itself. Because sometimes we don't always feel like doing things, right? We subscribe so much to how we feel or our emotionality or our viewpoint of a certain thing. And then it becomes another burden to overcome those things because in order to even do anything with ourselves, we have to overcome ourselves. We stay with ourselves all the time. You can't escape you. Neither can you escape your thoughts. And so if we understand who we are, and this is not something that happens overnight. This is something that absolutely has to be purposely and intentionally discovered. Our tendencies and the way that we are. Sometimes we don't know who we are until certain things happen. When certain situations rise in our lives, challenges or conflict. Yeah, conflict will do it, right? Conflict will bring out of us things that we never even knew were settled in our hearts or settled in our minds. And sometimes it's not until we come into those challenging moments do we really get to see who we really are. But we need to know that about ourselves. We need to know what our constraints are. We need to know what our restrictions are. We need to know what our limitations are. And then we need to exceed our limitations because nothing can limit us when we understand the power that dwells within us. But understanding self, I think, is critical. And it's interesting that even when we form relationships, we want people to understand us, and we really don't understand ourselves. And yet we have lived long enough to write certain tendencies. It's easy for us to disclose or to define or to discern someone else. But if we're going to really begin to deal with passion that's going to be connected to our purpose, we need to understand what destroys it, what prevents it. It is not, again, what we are able to do. The question is, why are we not achieving the things that we want to achieve? And the issue in many cases is a lack of passion. But if we overcome the obstacles, the hindrances, the restrictions, the prohibitions to what we do, then we can begin to kind of dictate some things about what we do in terms of our behavior, so we improve in that area. So understanding what we do, how we react in certain situations. This is why when we get into certain conditions and we get backed up into a corner, pay attention to who you are. Work on yourself. Pay more attention to your language and your habits and the way that you behave and the things that depress you, the things that enlighten you, the things that motivate you. Pay attention to you. because inside of you, everything is there. We tend to look externally for everything. If I'm looking for if I'm looking for validation, I look for it externally. If I'm looking for acceptance, I look for it externally. If I'm looking to be understood, I look for it externally. But there's so much inside of us that has to be unpacked, that has to be revealed. There's so much unknown about us that needs to come to the surface. Because even as we begin to work on things, there's so much happening that nobody knows. The farmer plants a seed, and they're faithful to nurturing, to tending, to to making sure the seed has the opportunity to grow. And I wondered why the farmer just has so much patience, even when things are not happening in a way that it should. We have those kind of expectations. We do something and we expect quick results, and we did not understand fully the whole process of what it means to build something or to become something. You're becoming something even now. And sometimes it's challenging to be patient while you become it. The farmer sows a seed, and year after year, they work the ground. They till the soil. They come and make sure that that seed has every opportunity to become what the expectation is. But it's funny that they work even in the absence of evidence. They work year in, year out. Nothing's happening. They don't give up on the soil. They don't give up on the task. They don't give up on the assignment. And we shouldn't either when we don't see anything happening. Sometimes we're far too quick to quit. And we have to realize that there are things that are happening that are not yet seen. What the farmer helps us to understand as we begin to manage our own passion is that there is more happening underneath the surface. There's more going on underneath the soil that is ever evident on top of the soil. You've got to know that when you're working on yourself and as you're beginning to understand yourself, this is work that's happening undercover. There are some brilliant people that are undercover, some great thinkers that are undercover. Some wonderful entrepreneurs that are undercover, because there's a whole lot going on that people don't see. But you can't determine whether you're being successful, or you can't determine how much passion you have by what is seen. By what's not seen on top of the soil. And so we've got to work on us. That's what we have to do. You've got to go to work on you. We tend to work on other people. But really, this Empower Talk podcast is about how we need to turn the light on ourselves and begin to chart out what is it that I need to fix. What am I working on? I should be able to say to you, what are you working on this month? What are you working on this year? What kind of person do you want to be? Because unless there is a plan and a vision to become it, it will always be an abstract thought. It will always be a wonderful imagination. But you've got to know, here's what I'm working on. My esteem has to be strengthened, and my view of myself has to be strengthened, and my self-respect and my self-motivation, because passion is only going to accompany what you tell it to accomplish. So we have to work on ourselves. And so because passion is such a variable in many of our lives, you can't link it to emotions, or you can't link it to what you think. How you feel about yourself will either bless you, or it will either be a deterrent to you becoming everything you want to become. And so we've got to get around then people that understand who we are, because passion is linked to purpose. We all have an issue with passion. We don't always, and this is why we say, I don't feel like it. Well, we're not always going to feel like it. But here's the strength, and here's the person who is a survivor and a successor, and someone who's a game changer, someone who's a trailblazer, someone who's a mover, that they have learned to be able to function even when they don't feel like doing it. Because intellectually, the principle is working even when there's no evidence. The farmer just told us that. The reason why the farmer comes back every year is to make sure, because they know that there's coming a season and a time. And I suggest to you that there's coming a season and a time for you where everything that you've been working on will bear fruit. It will be visible. You know it now. Others will know it later. You believe it now. Others will believe it later. But you've got to find your passion. And you can't link your passion to your emotion. You've got to detach your passion from your emotion and still do the right thing, still work the plan, still work the principle, even when it feels like nothing is happening. We all have issues with passion. But if we unlink it from emotion and do the work? Can you just do the work? Without celebration, without someone patting you on the back, without someone recognizing you, can you just do the work? Part of this is helping us to understand that what we do is as important as what is celebrated about us. We need to walk away from our assignments with a sense of self-pride that we've done exactly what we intended to do, that we're not a failure, because it's never win or lose, it's win or learn. So in every situation, what did you learn from that? Because passion, inner passion, is going to find a way to catch a hold of an inspiration that will keep it motivated no matter what happens. And so it's over the long term. And sometimes there are so many deterrents that come to, to depress us or to distract us. It's life. You have to anticipate that there's going to be a reaction. And if you're the kind of person that only operates when everything is flowing well, if you're the only person that operates when the sun is shining, you've got to be able to function when the weather is not ideal. You've got to still put in the work, even though for 90% of the people around you, they'll use other excuses not to perform. Passion is doing it when nobody's seeing it. Passion is doing it because you know it's the right thing to do, and you're going to work your plan and make it work. Give passion a plan then. Give passion a purpose, because passion needs something to go after. It needs something credible. It needs something incredible. It needs something worthwhile. Passion doesn't wake up until something's happening. Sometimes we need to recognize that maybe we're not dreaming big enough. Yeah, we're not believing big enough. We're not pushing ourselves hard enough. And even when we push ourselves hard enough, we need to also recognize that that's what it takes to get the kind of benefits and the outcomes that we want. We have to really push ourselves. And sometimes that's not going to come from other people. That energy has to come from us, because we have the plan and the purpose in our minds of what we want to become. So give your passion a target. Give your passion something to wake up for. Give your passion something to be inspired by. Give your passion something to think about. Give your passion something to be curious about. What are we doing today? And that will be contagious with other people and everything else that we see in life. So let's work on ourselves. Yeah, work on ourselves and the passion that we need and the things that we have to do to make ourselves wonderful. You've got to do the work. Got to do the work. Everybody get that? You got to do the work. It's not going to happen. If it's going to get done, it's going to have to be done by you. Sometimes we get lulled into thinking, well, I can't do it because I don't have support, and I can't do it because nobody's buying into my vision, and I can't do it because nobody recognizes my potential. Here's what I believe: passion finds passion, and success finds success. Sometimes we have not realized the level of success with our passion because we haven't fulfilled what we're doing yet. We have to. My mother would always say, you have to have something to show for it. If you have nothing to show for it, how's anyone going to know that something incredible is happening there? So sometimes we've got to push ourselves beyond our pain, beyond our misunderstanding, beyond our misgiving, beyond our doubt and our fear, and we've got to ignite passion, because passion will keep us going. So what wakes passion up every day is when it has a new target, or if it has the same target but a new initiative, or it has a new initiative but a different nuance. Passion has to aim for something. And so if you want to be more passionate, you have to relive and remind yourself of what it is that you're working towards, your business idea, your plan. What is it that hinders you? You've got to work that out, and you've got to wake up. When you wake up, make sure your passion wakes up too, because passion only wakes up when great things are happening, and great people know this. What do we sense is happening? How do we see ourselves differently? How do we move beyond the normality? How do we leave kind of foundational things behind, and how do we move on? How do we begin to dream? And passionate people dream often. They vocalize their vision. They declare their destiny. They don't simply sit back and allow other people to determine how high they can go. How high they can go. There's no roof over you. And so you've got to begin to believe that what you're doing is prosperous and it's beneficial, And if nobody else believes it, you are your first believer. Because if you don't believe it, how are you going to convince anyone else to join this amazing passion that you have to become and do everything that you know to do? So passion must be electrified. It's got to be ignited. It's got to be moved, right? And you got to tell yourself that. You've got to tell yourself that every day. This is going to be a passion-filled day for me. And that does not mean that negative things aren't going to happen. That's a misnomer. That doesn't mean that things are not going to work well. Passion finds a way to make every circumstance still work. And passion will give you a moment to cry. Yeah. Passion will give you a moment to be down. Passion will give you a moment to lick your wounds and to feel sorry for ourselves. Passion will do all of that. But passion cannot stay down too long. And so my challenge to you in this episode of Empower Talk podcast is to give your passion something to get up about. Give your passion something to wake up and be excited about. Because once you give your passion something big enough, it will become everything you want it to be. Where does it begin? It begins with you. And so you've got to tell yourself, you've got to talk to yourself. You've got to talk to your ingenuity. You've got to talk to your intuition. You've got to talk to your passion. You've got to talk to your motivation. You've got to talk it. You've got to speak it into life. And then watch it become something that now drives you. For a minute in the beginning, you're going to have to drive it. But what I'm excited about is the day that you realize that your passion has grown up enough so that now it drives you. And it drives the purpose that you have. So let's step away from those moments where we're feeling sorry for ourselves. Let's step away from those moments that deplete us and diminish us and redirect us. And let's start beginning to talk to the thing that will absolutely bring about change. And that is something in your gut, in your viscera, in your spirit that will not let you quit no matter how things go wrong or whatever works out or whoever doesn't believe in you. It's not about the survey. It's a survey of one. If I know what is in me, then it's my responsibility to carry this motivation and to carry this passion until I become everything that I envision myself to become. So you gotta lay out the plan, lay out the vision, and every day, wake up every day. This is another leg of the journey. This is another level of my expression. And if I give my passion something to aim for, it'll wake you up every day. Listen, thanks for joining us on the Empower Talk podcast. My name is PJ. It's an honor to be with you. Come check me out another time. Thank you for being with me, and I'll see you again.